Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Spoilers for General Hospital, Drew gets shot after becoming worse. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Cain and Willow Tate may have a rude awakening during their wedding ceremony. Willow could confront Drew after she walks down the aisle now that she is aware of the truth about his affair with Willow's mother, Nina Reeves. She would tell Drew that she would never forgive him for his lies and that she could never marry him because of what he had done. Willow would be horrified and would try to argue his way out of it, but it wouldn't change anything. She's done. When Willow abandons Drew at the altar, he is both heartbroken and furious with retaliation. Being betrayed by Willow Tate sends Drew Cain down the road after losing Willow. Drew becomes even more vindictive in his scheme against Portia Robinson. Curtis Ashford will regret ever telling Willow the truth about Nina and Drew, and he will escalate his demands. For manipulating Heather Weber's test results, Curtis will not allow Portia to turn herself in. Drew is determined to continue causing Curtis pain, and Curtis might be forced to consider permanently dumping Drew. Kai Taylor discovers the real story of Drew Cain. Kai Taylor may hear Drew pursuing Portia and Drew and comprehend that he has been on the wrong side and that Drew is pursuing them in a significant manner. He would understand that Drew is trying to harm both Portia and Curtis, and that he was wrong to tell him the truth about Curtis's scheme. At this time, he might attempt to make amends. Willow Tate is blackmailed into returning to Drew Cain. Drew could threaten to reveal Willow's role in gaslighting Sasha Corbin in order to blackmail Willow into returning to him. If Michael does not come back to Willow, Drew would threaten to tell her the truth. This would leave Willow stunned and puzzled, and she would be forced to reclaim Drew. Willow would be stuck in searching for a quick way out of this predicament. Drew Cain is shot after frightening the majority of Port Charles citizens. Drew would eventually have his retribution and be shot. Everyone in Port Charles would like to see Curtis dead now that he has further unleashed the monster in Drew. Even if his attacker were shot at his house, Drew Cain would ultimately be held accountable for his heinous actions. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you believe Drew's situation will worsen even further? Will there be a growing number of people that want Drew dead? Is Drew going to get shot? False storyline hint and key character introduction. Behind letter, Monica's long-lost sister. According to General Hospital spoilers, the program only included a significant character introduction and a hint about the fall plot. The letter that Martin Gray found on the floor at Drew Cain's residence is probably the work of Monica Quartermain's long-lost sister. Martin discovered that letter, which was covered with the children's artwork, on the July 22nd episode. Drew dismissed it as scrap paper that Wiley and Amelia Corinthos had likely picked up at the Quartermain mansion. Although Monica was the recipient of the mail, the identity of the writer of the note within has not yet been confirmed. Martin did read a portion of the letter out loud, though, so that fans knew someone was sorry to hear that Monica was sick and that they hadn't spoken in a while. When Monica starts her GH run this fall, it appears that One Life to Live America Slazak will be portraying her long-lost sister, according to Daytime Confidential sources. All of the insider rumors suggest that Monica's secret sibling will definitely cause a stir. It seems sense that the letter, which Martin has now located, is being used to prepare for the impending arrival of this long-lost sister in Port Charles. To put it another way, it looks that viewers have just seen the first hint of Erica Slazak's impending arrival and the storyline she will begin when she does. Martin will have to make a decision on the letter he recently found for the time being. Would Martin be able to take use of it in any way, particularly while facing Tracy Quartermain? Martin, however, was clearly taken aback by whatever news he came across. Seeing how Martin handles all of this and whether he can somehow win will be interesting. The possibility exists that Monica's long-lost sister might cause trouble with her will after she dies. That would quickly anger Tracy and turn Monica's sister into her next adversary. Stay back for more Monica sibling updates, as General Hospital spoilers indicate that some intriguing changes are coming nonetheless. We're all going to have a happy, fulfilling life. Lucas and Carly are at odds. Is Lucas still upset that Carly still backs her best buddy Jason and her ex-husband Sonny? He holds them accountable for the kidnapping of Marco. Are they going to be able to accept disagreement? Ava is shaken somewhere else. What has transpired to make the typically unflappable art dealer behave this way? Marco and Sonny discuss what happened. Marco isn't an idiot even though Sonny wasn't the one who physically stole him. The lawyer wants guarantees that the mobster will leave him alone because he is fully aware of what transpired. Sonny says, as long as you don't get involved in your father's affairs, you won't be affected. Meanwhile, Lucy finds it appealing to meddle in Marco's father's affairs. She even extends an invitation. Jens tries to calm her down when she talks to him about the conflict between him and Sonny. Jens tells Lucy, it's all about peaceful coexistence. Molly spends some time to herself at the Metro Court pool, but she's not by herself. The scene at the hotel's rooftop pool is something Cody is also taking in. She says to Cody, I guess I managed to surprise you. Is he going to surprise her? Michael shares his biggest fears with Christina. He needs someone with whom he can discuss anything because he loves his sister. Could they be talking in the Metro Court pool as well? That's exactly who I was afraid of. What is happening? Christina asks aloud to herself. According to spoilers, there will be a lot of turmoil on Willow and Drew's wedding day. First, Drew and Scout, his best friend, share a wonderful moment. He assures her, we will all live happily ever after. However, given the mayhem that is raging elsewhere, he might be making a commitment that he won't be able to fulfill. Willow confronts her mother in the bride's room after learning from Curtis that Nina had an affair with Drew. Did you have an affair with Drew? She asks while spitting venom. Liesel, Portia, Willow, Nina, and more. Welcome to General Hospital's Best of the Week, where we showcase some of the most noteworthy events, situations, personalities, quotes, fashion, and more from the last week. General Hospital's Best Moments of the Week. James hatchet-throwing lessons with his Oma bless poor Spinelli's heart. Given that James' paternal line is psychopathic, you could see his nerves fray and his worries about the future grow as he watched an enthusiastic James get hatchet-throwing pro tips from his loving but morally dubious grandmother, Liesel. The secret is to focus on your objective as you would during a hunt, she explained to James. Additionally, never lose sight of your goals. I'm crossing my fingers, Spinelli, my dear. Portia told Willow the unpleasant reality about Drew's requests for blackmail to make Michael appear to be a drug addict when the truth didn't liberate anyone. She anticipated Willow's revulsion and indignation. She wanted to break Drew's grasp on her, Willow, and Curtis. Rather than being appalled or even intimidated, Willow swore loyalty to Drew, the only person she believed she could trust. Then, like a surprise guest on the Jerry Springer show, Curtis hurried into the bride's room and revealed Nina's secret about having an affair with Drew. He left before he could learn that she apparently intended to go with the wedding nevertheless, but he hoped to release Willow, himself, and Portia from Drew's control. Nina finally confessed to having an affair with Drew. Willow instructed her to get the heck out after she made a fruitless attempt to defend herself. She hoped the truth would finally release Willow and herself from Drew's control, even if it meant her relationship with Willow was ruined. She was astonished to find Willow ready to walk down the aisle after being convinced there wouldn't be a wedding. Does Willow have a plan for retaliation? Is she truly in love with Drew, or did she experience a manic episode? We can only hope that blackmailing will stop for a while because we won't know until next week. The anvil on the head moments. Liesel just needed to speak with Willow for a short while to see that something was very wrong with her conduct. When Willow refused to be intimidated by Drew's bribes, Portia was astounded. Ava recoiled when Nina told her everything about Willow being the one pursuing Michael and Sasha's child, and Drew and Nina each had their own epiphanies about it. It's time for a serious intervention when your actions embarrass certain members of the Broken Moral Compass Club. Scenes. Willow's confrontation with Nina. After learning of Nina and Drew's affair, Willow threw everything on the table when she hit her mother with her hurt and rage. I understand that you weren't cut out to be a mother, she said in her last strike. You lack a maternal bone in your body, perhaps as a result of your own mother being an absolute nightmare. I'm envious of Nell. She passed away unaware that you were her mother. The line "I wish I'd been so lucky" was especially cruel. If I'm being fair, Nina deserved all of that and more, but before I can feel much pity or forgiveness for her, Willow will need to accept some responsibility because she intentionally disregarded or resisted every sign that was given to her for a year. In these situations, Caitlin McMullen and Cynthia Watrose were outstanding. Willow's disbelief, indignation, hurt, desperation, and shaky hold on reality were all conveyed by McMullen's diverse facial expressions. What Rose once more demonstrated to us the suffering caused by Nina's own deeds, which resulted in her once more escaping parenthood. My normally sweet Lucas has been in attack mode for the past 2 weeks and is trying to fight above his weight class. It was painful to see these two fight, but I'm not sure what he's trying to accomplish by criticizing and insulting Carly. I get that he's furious, but he needs to start controlling his temper. Watching him chase after Sunny has been like watching a chihuahua bark at a pit bull. Notables Willow and Drew's doomed wedding had especially beautiful flowers, but GH's flower game is always spot on. A beautiful and ethereal scene was produced in the chapel by the cherry blossom trees against the arrangement of mixed red and pink-hued flowers. Special thanks should be given to the person in charge of the flowers at General Hospital. Though her presence provides constant entertainment, it should be noted that Liesl Albrecht has committed some completely abhorrent acts. As an annoying truth-teller and divine enemy, Kathleen Gotti elevates every scene in which she appears. I'm reaffirming my devotion to the Portia of the past few weeks. I sincerely hope she gets the opportunity to give Drew a thorough smackdown. How long will it take them to disclose the contents of the letter Martin discovered addressed to Monica? What is mentioned, in your opinion? Will Erica Slezak's arrival in Port Charles be a factor? Will she be one of the 6 alternate personalities, Victoria Lord, or someone else? Don't let us wait forever to find out, writers. Quotables as an aside, thanks to Tracy, Martin, and Liesl's writers, I wanted to quote nearly everything they said this week. Unfortunately, I had to make some tough cuts, much like Judy and Kelly from the DCC. As Portia prepares to inform Willow about Drew's blackmail, Vaughn tries to convey to Jocelyn the extent of Jack Brennan's influence by saying, handling you with kid gloves is clearly not working. He was in a prison jumpsuit, complete with socks and sandals, and now he sits right there. Oh God. The janky jurist just seen us. Tracy informed Brooklyn Martin that Martin had spotted them. Martin. You realize that you're like a weed, Martin, as in persistent, resilient, and challenging to eradicate? Unsightly and good for absolutely nothing, Tracy said, instructing Martin to return to Drew. Feel free to slither away to your overload. I don't do weddings anymore, Tracy said. Martin tries to decline Drew's wedding invitation by saying, I will suck it up and be polite, but after 3 of my own, the mere concept makes me break out in hives. I'm a doctor, not a florist, Liesl tells Elizabeth, adding, we will consider it my wedding gift. When asked to assist with Willow's bouquet, Elizabeth, Liesl tells Nina, and, I won't be a party to baby's breath. Did you say something uncelebratory? You said you'd be good. Liesl, and you promised me an open bar. Elizabeth, at the reception, not in the church. Liesl, so you proved to be untrustworthy once again. Christina, just go talk to him and get Molly away from him. Michael, what? Anything, said Christina. Money, taxes, and sports. He enjoys having money. Even horses. You must not deliberately be foolish in the temple of the Lord, Rick. Ava doesn't think Rick is sincere about his affections for Elizabeth Fashion Lois Nancy print blouse and pants by Rose and Nancy. I'm going to name this style tailored boho. He might just smite you for lying. Molly's dawn bikini with Penelope sarong by TJ Swim is such a gorgeous color and look on Molly, and Jordan's black satin dress with lapels and puff sleeves is professional with a hint of Sue's. Wedding attire, Alexis wore a ruched sleeve blazer by Incline and ivory satin wide leg slacks. This ensemble was very new for Alexis, yet it remained within her comfort zone. I adore Elizabeth's Renzo 2 dress in Riviera by ALC. The deep blue hue of the dress contrasted with her darker hair and bright lip created a gorgeous appearance. I also adore the drape and asymmetrical neckline of Ava's stretch crepe maxi dress in green emerald pool by Banana Republic. Scout's petal bodice party dress by Bonnie Jean, gorgeous and charming. Rick's dark gray blazer, dark slate blue shirt, and pattern tie create a luxurious tone-on-tone ensemble. Musings as of right now, we only know that Britt is back. Does she have any connection to Dalton and Sidwell? Is Liesl aware that she is still alive? Who knows? Joss will never be able to move past her period of Children of the Corn. I don't usually support gangster conduct, but Sonny didn't give instructions to harm Marco, he just abducted him for a day. I refer to that as personal growth because there were no tauntings, freezers, meat hooks, knife-wielding torturers, or excursions to the Pine Barrens. It appears that Lucas carries a lock-picking gadget for handcuffs on his keychain, while others have bottle openers. And why had he bothered to knock on the door? He had the key to it already. The argument in favor of Brennan and Carly, despite the fact that Brennan surreptitiously enlisted Jocelyn in the WSB, I actually like the two of them together. He might end up being her first real partner. He makes no effort to manage or exert control over her. Despite his constant desire to assist, he does not treat her as weak or incapable. He exhorts her to trust her gut and embrace her strength. Although he doesn't feel insecure about it, he now appears to grasp that Jason is off limits. He isn't with her to be mean to Sunny or to use her as a means of approaching Sunny. Furthermore, he is effective and efficient in solving issues. What should their ship name be, in your opinion? Carjack? Jacklee? Jack Carr? Sven Bren? Carly had just spent a few minutes at the Metro Court pool, meticulously preparing for what she believed to be a private reservation for a customer, when Jack Brennan showed up with his characteristic cool assurance. His next statement was that he was the client, even though his appearance wasn't totally surprising. They had the entire pool to themselves. Carly, smiling and barefoot, took off her heels and sat next to Jack, plunging her toes into the refreshing pool as the midday sun glinted off the water. The sharp pop of the bottle still reverberated slightly in the warm air as he handed her a glass of champagne. "So, what's the occasion?" she inquired in jest, with a twinkle in his eye that suggested anything more than a simple social call. Jack leaned in her direction. He acknowledged, "We haven't seen each other much lately." "I missed you." Carly's typical defenses were breached by that vulnerability. She whispered, "I missed you too," and they shared a slow, purposeful kiss that lingered rather than ending in a fleeting glance. Jack inquired about Carly's world as the champagne began to settle in their systems and the laughter turned into a conversation. She told him everything, or at least everything that wasn't too sensitive or classified. She talked candidly about Sasha's abrupt departure with Daisy and how she and Michael were conflicted about not knowing if or when they would see each other again. Jack listened carefully, never interjecting, just allowing her to release her burden. Carly described how she had thought about phoning him for assistance but decided against it. She stated, "I didn't want you to be pulled into something risky, particularly if Sunny was the reason Daisy was being singled out." Jack grasped her hand and met her eyes, saying, "You've already broken the rules for me too many times. Carly, please come to me if something is off." He later had to take a moment to check in with work, even if all he could do was listen. He couldn't give her specifics when he got back, but he did give her something more intimate, his reflection. "I believe that my inability to share my work with others is the reason I never had a true personal life. But it helps with you. Simply being with you." Things were far less romantic back at the WSB headquarters. When Vaughn and Jocelyn arrived, Jack's office was deserted. According to Vaughn, Jack most certainly took the afternoon off, most likely with Carly. Joss was irritated by that. She made the sarcastic comment that it would probably be against HR policy for agents to date their agents' mothers. Vaughn instantly silenced her. "You don't want Jack Brennan to become your enemy. He became the WSB chief after being a felon. He has influence." "Are you implying that he can get away with anything?" she insisted. Vaughn remained still. "I'm saying don't pick a fight you can't win if you want a career in the WSB." Anna Devane and Dante were discussing Jocelyn in depth in her office. Anna grew more and more certain that Vaughn had been chosen to be her partner and that Jack had enlisted Joss as an agent. Dante gasped. "Is my sister a spy?" Joss's age was advantageous to her, according to Anna, because no one would suspect a college student. She disclosed how Brennan had probably tested Joss by using her passion with learning the truth about Dex's death by Cyrus Renault, giving her leads, and then hiring her after she demonstrated her abilities. Dante was enraged. She was even younger than Joss when she was recruited, Anna reminded him, adding, he used her grief to turn her into an agent. He most likely told her that she was unique. That she had the power to change things. They told me the same thing. Dante inquired as to when Joss may have been schooled, and the time frame, her alleged journey to Easter Island, clicked. Everything had been a front. Joss even ruined Emma's research to get the internship with Dalton, Anna said, proving that Dalton was much more than just a pharmaceutical consultant. She was also concerned that Joss was unaware of the long-term consequences of living with WSB. Dante obviously shared that dread, having lost his spouse to the job. "Do you believe Brennan approached Joss by using Carly?" he inquired. Anna hesitated. "I'm not sure," Dante said, but he couldn't stop himself. "Perhaps Carly ought to be aware." "No," Anna firmly replied. "Joss's cover is blown when she tells Carly. Additionally, we still don't know what Dalton's true situation is." Lucy, meanwhile, was using her usual tactics on the set of Home and Heart. She told Flora, the host, that Brooklyn would be all right. Warmly greeting Brooklyn, Flora unintentionally brought up her mother, which made Brooklyn tense. She subtly acknowledged that Lucy and she were merely standing in for her mother, who had resigned as Deception's spokesman. Lucy was planning another surprise backstage. As a last-minute addition to the piece, she presented Lois, the original face of Deception. Brooklyn was taken aback. Lois apologized in a quiet voice. "Lucy informed me that you knew. I apologize." When Brooklyn attempted to move aside, Lucy shoved her and Lois in front of the camera, leaving Flora to scream off camera. Nevertheless, Brooklyn remained calm while she and Lois promoted the novel Youth Truth Serum. Lucy was thrilled to declare that they had sold out at the conclusion of the segment. As Lucy begged Brooklyn to let the past go, Flora hurried off in annoyance. Meanwhile, Lois talked about how much she missed her daughter and how proud she was of her. However, Brooklyn refused to give her mother a glance. Rather, she went to Lucy and threatened to show her how much she had learned from Tracy if she did it again. She then turned to her mother and declared, "You're fired," before leaving. Jason Morgan stood at a Paris airport in a different area of the world, attempting to board a plane that had just cancelled. He had caught a glimpse of a woman who resembled Britt Westbourne running to board through the glass. Jason was denied a seat on the subsequent flight to New York, where he sat silently, troubled by recollections. He recalled their time spent together on the run, how she told him about her Huntington's sickness, and how their relationship ended when he accepted Carly as his wife. His thoughts were focused on her as the jet flew over the Atlantic. However, Britt, or the lady who resembled her, was no longer in Paris. A tall man in a fitted coat met her as she got out of a dark vehicle in Dubrovnik, Croatia. "Good to see you again," he said. She smiled slightly at him. "It feels good to be back." The day came to an end back in Port Charles. Anna told Dante in her office that she would take care of the Joss situation from here. Dante appeared exhausted. "Do you think you would have left if someone had tried to get you out when you were her age?" Anna didn't respond. Carly and Jack leaned toward each other at the pool, their bond growing stronger. Their worlds had not yet collided, at least not yet. Joss promised Vaughn in Jack's office that she would maintain her concentration. He reminded her that their life depended on the mission. His phone then rang. In the shadows of that European city, Jason's ghost came back to life, and whatever secrets Britt's lookalike might have had were one step closer to being exposed. "The courier stopped in Paris," he said, "but now he's headed to Dubrovnik." Highlights of General Hospital from July 28 to August 1. This week in Port Charles, you won't want to miss a second of the action. After much suffering, Willow has finally realized the truth about Drew. It appears that the most despised couple in Port Charles is no longer together now that she is aware that he had an affair with her mother. The wedding will go on Monday, but based on how Curtis apologizes and how Portia comforts Nina by Tuesday, it doesn't seem like a happy ending. Jason's justice. As Jason begins to wonder if Britt actually died, he realizes that there is only one person who can answer his questions, and luckily, she is back in Port Charles. Early in the week, expect Jason to find Liesel and talk about her allegedly dead daughter. The mission of Emma and Gio. Emma and Gio have been one of GH's most shipped couples, despite their slow burn. The two have shown themselves to be rather compatible, and after Emma shares her ultimate strategy for Dalton, she and Gio will work together to defeat him by the end of the week. Sunny threatens Turner, Jason looks into Britt, and Drew suspects Willow. Albrecht was cautioned by Lulu and Dante to avoid Rocco, Sonny threatened him with ADA Turner, Jason told Carly about his suspicions, and Willow left Portia and Drew feeling uneasy. Helicopter parents Jason explained to Carly at the Metro Court pool that Rocco had been inquiring about Britt and asked if that was the reason he believed he spotted her at the airport. Reminding her best friend that Britt was dead, Carly brushed it off as a coincidence. "I was, too," Jason countered. Following his explanation of how Rocco learned of his unique birth circumstances, Carly acknowledged that Jason had a different perspective on Britt than most people, but she refused to criticize the deceased because she died rescuing Jocelyn. "Imagine if she didn't," Jason retorted. When Rocco tried to work and noticed Lulu lurking, he became irritated and aggressively demanded some space. Spinelli texted Lulu to come as soon as possible to the hatchet range, where he was writhing as Albrecht instructed young James in axe throwing. By the time she got there, Liesel had left, but Spinelli informed her that Britt's mother had returned to Port Charles. Concerned, Lulu called Dante to let him know, and they hurried to the pool to see how their boy was doing. When they discovered Albrecht contentedly conversing with Rocco, Lulu sternly cautioned her to avoid Lulu's son. Before leaving, Albrecht informed them both that without her Britta, Rocco wouldn't even exist. When Rocco told Lulu and Dante that he was the one who had contacted Albrecht to get information about Britt, they were taken aback. When they attempted to caution him not to pay attention to anything the woman said, the teenager became agitated and hurried away. When Jason questioned Carly about the circumstances of Britt's death, she recalled how Britt had pinched Jocelyn from Heather Weber, died in her mother's arms, and been nicked by the poisoned hook. Jason was intrigued and felt compelled to speak with Albrecht. A fine story. When Lucas used the key to unlock the door after locating the address where Marco was being held, he found him strapped to a chair, unconscious, and battered. When Marco awoke, Lucas was relieved and told him how he had located him. He also disclosed that his sister, the late Sam, had taught him how to pick locks so he could free him from his handcuffs. Marco claimed he had an urgent matter to attend to before Lucas requested that he visit the hospital for a checkup. ADA Turner persisted in questioning Sonny at the police station until Dante interrupted them. Dante tried to tell his father that Gio and Rocco looked up to their grandfather while Mom was outside talking to Sidwell. He believed that Sonny shouldn't do anything to ruin that. After they joined the other two, Sidwell voiced his worries that someone would try to coerce his kid into doing something. Fearing for his son's life, Sidwell refused to give names when Turner asked him to be specific, although he did stare at Sonny. Marco then arrived with a crazy narrative about how he got lost in the woods while out on a stroll, fell into a ravine, had a flat tire, and dozed off in his car. It was obvious that Turner wasn't buying the story for a moment. Lucas convinced Carly to let him into Marco's room so he could wait for him in the Metro Court. As she attempted to dismiss the entire kidnapping situation, Lucas told his sister about Marco's severe beating and threatened to ensure Jason and Sonny were imprisoned for the rest of their life if Marco had been killed. Marco continued to work for his father despite Carly's argument that Sidwell was a dangerous individual. Lucas angrily urged her not to defend Jason or Sonny to him ever again after she branded him foolish for confusing him with Marco. When Marco later came back, Lucas was concerned about his wounds, but Marco assured him he was okay and diverted his attention by giving him a passionate kiss and guiding him to the bed. Sidwell thanked Turner and excused himself at the station. Turner halted Sonny's attempt to depart as well, claiming to be aware of the situation and accusing him of being as dishonest and heartless as she believed him to be. Sonny growled at the trembling ADA, "If I'm as corrupt and soulless as you think I am, Marco Rios would die." A step too far at the hospital, Willow bullied Portia into manipulating Michael's blood tests to make it seem he was abusing opioids so he would lose custody of the children, refusing to listen to her when she tried to explain how Drew was a horrible person. "If that's what it takes, I'm on Drew's side," a stone-faced Willow replied. Stunned, Portia attempted to reason with her, but Willow said that Michael hadn't fought fairly, so why should she? She maintained that Drew was the only one she trusted and that Michael was at fault. Nina visited Drew at home in the interim to inform him that Sasha had left town with baby Daisy. He believed that Sasha had broken up with Michael because he was attempting to control her life, but Nina disclosed that Michael was fully behind her since their newborn daughter was being targeted. That was disgusting to Drew, who thought it was one of Sonny's numerous foes. However, Nina proposed that it might be someone else, such as Drew. She acknowledged that if he was lying, it was quite convincing, and Drew, offended, claimed he had nothing to do with it. Nina cautioned, as you stated, whoever did this to Daisy is capable of torturing someone merely for the sake of torturing them. Portia summoned Nina over to the hospital to tell her about the harrowing talk she had just had with Willow, adding, "And they're still out there." "What has happened to her, Drew?" she inquired. Portia told her that her daughter didn't seem at all troubled by the concept, pointing out Nina's terrified reaction when she told her about Drew's request for her to alter Michael's blood tests. When Willow got home, Spinelli was finishing up her conversation with Drew regarding Maxie's wedding plans and was looking forward to the ceremony. Recalling what Nina had told him, Drew inquired nonchalantly about Willow's 4th of July activities. Drew tried to conceal his mounting misgivings about his future bride by smiling nicely as she uncomfortably claimed to have had drinks with her mother. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.